Okay.
Done.
Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about Scream, the TV series, which came out on MTV in 2016 or 2015?
I think 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, and it ran for 2 seasons on MTV with the same cast and the same storyline. And then there was a reboot for a season 3, which was on VH1. And we are going to be focusing on season 1 here today in this episode.
Yes.
But we'll be talking about season 2 over on our Patreon this upcoming Monday.
That's right. We're going to be doing the entire original story for Scream, the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because it's strange that Scream had 4 movies.
Yeah.
Well, really, I mean, actually, to start with, it was a trilogy.
Right.
And then it ended. And everybody just thought, well, that's it.
That's that.
And it was sort of surprising when it was announced, no, we're going to make a 4th one. It was
completely surprising. It was so weird.
It was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
In 2011, Scream 4 came out and did not do well enough to get a sequel.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like the franchise was done again.
Mm-hmm.
But then a few years after that, it was announced that MTV was looking at making a TV series.
Right.
And immediately, I remember when they announced that the series was coming, and I was kind of like, oh, no.
Yeah, I was just like, it's not going to be them and stuff. It's just going to be a totally different thing with the Scream name.
Yeah.
Like a knockoff, kind of. And I was like, whatever. It's probably not going to be for me.
And
it wasn't at the time.
For sure. Yeah, I think TV has been amazing for a good long while now.
Yeah.
But let's face it, like, typically, when you hear that somebody is making a TV show out of a movie you liked, you can anticipate that it's going to be watered down. It won't have the cast like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have the budget. It's just not going to feel quite right.
Yeah.
And so I knew with MTV it just wasn't going to be all that good. So
it wasn't going to be your mama's Scream. And your mama's Scream is our Scream.
Yes, we are your mama.
Right.
But I still, obviously, it's me.
Of course.
I remember I had to watch it. So
yes.
I watched at least the pilot, and then I maybe stepped away for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up, by and large, seeing the whole damn thing.
Right.
Just out of closure or necessity or continuity or whatever it is in me.
You must. Whatever drives.
Whatever it is that drives me to watch all the Halloween movies, even though I don't like them, made me watch Scream, the TV series.
Yeah.
What's your we're already into it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, our history.
Yeah,
So
that was my sort of history, I guess.
I mean, it somewhat overlaps until the point where you watch it all.
Yeah.
I kept up with the news of it. I saw when they kind of like did the big reveal of the new mask, and I was like, ugh.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It has so they didn't use the original Ghostface mask. And I think that was one of the first sort of news items about the show. And it was like, okay, so they're totally departing from a Ghostface thing. And the mask is this like gray, faded around the edges, like black holes for eyes, and then a perfectly round hole for a mouth.
Yeah, basically.
Thing. And I got used to it, like watching this new series now.
Like for the show.
Right.
You got used to it.
But I know that for sure when I first saw it, I was like, ew, I don't like that at all. It's just like weird looking. It's not what Scream is. What is this even? Honestly, this show, if it wasn't called Scream, it has nothing. There's no even connective tissue to the original franchise. They're not like dropping a reference to Woodsboro or something. It really is just a slasher horror show that they stuck the Scream brand on.
And there are 2 ways to feel about that.
Yeah.
Right? Like on the one hand, you can say, well, this is not the thing that I like.
Right.
You're calling it Scream, but it's not Scream. This is a different beast altogether.
Right.
So therefore that's a bad thing. Or you can look at it and say, they're making a TV show and they're making it theirs. It's not going to contaminate the main series because it's not even really a part of the main series. I sort of feel both arguments.
I do too. I totally get it, but I guess I lean a little bit more toward just I get it. It's for money reasons, basically. I just think it's weird to even call it Scream. There's just nothing to do with Scream.
Yeah, I wrote down a list of ingredients that I associate with the Scream franchise because, quite frankly,
yeah, I guess
in my estimation, I'm not even convinced that like Scream 2022 was it this year? Did the new Scream come out this year or last year?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I think it's this year.
I think it's this year.
Yeah.
This has been a weird year.
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure that, like, I feel like Scream 5, the requel, has the ingredients right. I might just be way too particular.
Yeah.
But what I see in Scream is that it's, first and foremost, a horror/slasher.
Right.
Then it's a whodunit. Then it's a comedy.
Yeah.
In that order.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think is important.
And I mean, I think that people lean on it a little bit too much, but I think that the meta and not even necessarily being self-referential, but being referential of, like, horror culture is also very woven into Scream, the original
the meta
series.
That's true. Yeah.
And that, I mean, like, when I mean the original series, I mean, like, the movies.
The movies.
And that is present in this. So
to a lesser extent.
Definitely to a lesser extent. So I guess you can say that some of the ingredients are there, but there's just a general sensibility that's part of the original Screams that isn't here.
I firmly agree.
So
there's an attitude and there's an energy.
I think it's just like a strange branding thing. Like, I would not be surprised if this was just a show, and it might not be the case at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was just a show that had been pitched at some point or written or something on its own, and then they retrofitted it with the Scream brand. I feel that way about the Pretty Little Liars series that came out on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Again, who knows, but I think it's totally possible that it was just a different slasher series, and then they were like, oh, well, it'll be more popular if it's attached to an already, like, proven popular
Guess what? I found
thing.
out I have the rights to Scream's television. You know, I have the TV rights to Scream.
Yeah.
You want to call your show Scream the TV series? I absolutely agree. It does feel like that. To the best of my understanding, it was designed to be a Scream TV series.
Yeah.
And
I guess I have heard that as I think about it, but it doesn't feel like
it. It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, like, of, like, the gut feel of the show being like, it seems like somebody just took the franchise name and applied it to a different series. You're so right. It 100% feels like that.
Yeah.
But from the jump, it does appear that the Weinsteins, who were involved early on, said, we're going to make this be different from the show.
As you're saying that, it rings a total bell.
Yeah. But the ingredients that I wrote down for this series, for Scream the TV series, I think that it is first, a drama. Second, a whodunit. Third, a slasher.
Yeah.
And so 2 of the ingredients are the same. But taking comedy out and inserting drama and shifting the priority of what you're trying to accomplish, it's like somebody bakes. It's like Scream the movies are like a really, really good cake.
Yeah.
And then somebody uses the cake ingredients
and put raisins in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like some people really, really, really like a raisin cake. For the sake of argument.
Carrot cake has raisins in it.
Sure.
I prefer it without.
I mean,
actually a perfect analogy.
I think carrot cake itself is a good analogy. I want cake. I don't want carrots in there.
You can barely tell the carrots are in there if it's made well.
Sometimes people leave the chunks
strips.
of carrots, the strips, and then they get stuck in your teeth.
I agree.
Miserable.
No. But
that's the drama in Scream the TV series.
You
Scream
gotta mix it up.
MTV Scream is a carrot cake.
Right. All right. I'll stop talking about carrot cake. I was just literally going to say something about
literally
going to
give a recipe for a carrot cake. We can.
In no way would I, because I can't cook or bake for my life.
Right.
But no, the carrots have to be like fully incorporated.
Okay.
And then it's really the cream cheese icing that's the star of the show, in my opinion.
Okay.
IMHO.
Sure. Okay. Well, save it for
Anyway.
cake cast.
Yeah.
Carrot cast, whichever show you do.
Chrissy's carrot cast.
Carrot cast.
No, cake cast. Cake cast.
Cake cast.
I don't have enough to say about carrots.
Although
I don't like the water in a bag of baby carrots. Okay, anyway.
I mean, it's just water.
I don't like that it's in there. It makes it just like it's
sloshy, stagnant water.
Yeah, it feels like it shouldn't be in there. Do you know they add it?
They do?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
They add the water into the bag of carrots.
To make them a little bit soggy?
Yes, because otherwise they're going to dry out too much.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
It does make sense, but it just makes me feel like it went bad.
Okay, well, I mean, you know better, so.
Well, I know better, honestly, as of like yesterday, because I Googled it.
Clearly know better. So anyway, just yesterday, so this is fresh knowledge.
It honestly is.
Much like the fresh
Because I was like, I just bought these. Why is it all wet? Is this bad? And that's how I found that out.
What do we do when we when we want to know?
Yeah.
We wonder. We say, "What if?" Let's try. That's some
Right.
Sesame Street knowledge that I got from my daughter Zoe.
Well, I was following the rules. Not unlike the rules of slashers.
Thank you. Anyway.
Anyway, so to go back to my history with it, I did not watch it while I was on. I think I gave it like the littlest of glances, and I was like, ugh, not for me.
Yeah.
And was just sort of aware of it, and was always like, I don't really want to watch that. And then when we decided to do it for the show, which you had been championing for years, I watched it and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a surprise. I remember eating this carrot cake.
Yeah.
When it was first baked, and thinking to myself like, this is not cake.
Right.
It's not. It's not the movies. It does not feel like the movies, and that's what I want.
Right.
But all these years later, now that Scream, the movies, are back, it's interesting to revisit this series and be like, you know what? Carrot Cake is still pretty good.
Yeah.
And to that end, yeah, I was pretty blown away at how entertained I was by this show, because I was convinced for a long time that by us covering MTV Scream, Scream the TV series, it was going to be a hate watch.
Right.
And it turned out very much not to be.
No, same for me.
So I think we should do what we usually do when we cover movies and stuff that have elements that could be considered spoilers.
Yep.
Let's give our recommends right off the top. Say some overarching thoughts, and then we'll give ample warning to anybody out there who does not want to be spoiled, and then we're going to spoil away for the rest of the show.
That's what we're going to do.
So, do you recommend Scream the TV series Season 1?
I do. I especially think that if you already like slashers and this sort of thing, it's a perfectly serviceable, fun slasher.
Yeah.
So I do recommend it.
I similarly recommend it. My take is more like this is just a sort of like a cozy, easy show to throw on.
Totally.
Right? I don't think you need to sit there and stare at it and study it and hold on to all the clues. You're not going to be rewarded necessarily for paying close attention.
No.
But you might find that you're having just kind of a good time with it.
Right, you're having a bit of fun.
A quiet night, you want to lay back, you want to put on something that's not too heady.
You want to see this freaky mask looking at you every once in a while.
Exactly. You want to look at it, and here's some of the other fun of looking at something that like isn't quite right, doesn't quite match the movies.
Yeah.
You kind of have the meta fun of going like, oh, why'd they pick that mask?
Right.
Oh, here's something that I recognize from the series. Oh, here's a nod that they're throwing to the movies. Like, you sort of have the fun of placing like, oh, I think this character is basically Randy.
Yeah.
This character is basically Sydney.
Yeah.
You sort of have that game that you can play with it. And then the show itself, the material itself, is often very entertaining, super moody, like very teen drama moody.
Yes.
But also shockingly gory and nasty.
Yeah.
I was like pretty... There's like a death in season 1 where the gore effect, I was like, I'm shocked that was on television.
Yeah.
And then they show it more. They like put it back on the screen, and I was like, I almost thought that they had to cut away from it quickly to appease the censors or something.
Right.
But then they just put it front and center again. And I'm like, this is...
Wowie.
Yeah, it's not quite Hannibal.
I guess it was cable and
That's true.
Late night, probably.
That's
Not
true.
like 11, but, at nights.
And MTV...
MTV has shown wild stuff
They have.
before, so...
Remember that show Skins?
I never watched that, but I'm aware of it. But
It's a series
Real
about
World?
the joy of celebration.
I know. I definitely was aware of it.
Yeah.
And The Real World had crazy stuff on it sometimes.
Gore, though?
No, but...
Gore is what people usually balk at.
I guess that's true, but I still think they can go somewhat hand in hand as far as like shocking material or things that you would think aren't allowed for audiences to see.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they would show very racy stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, Real World Las Vegas, triple kiss in the hot tub, please.
Oh, there are triple kisses in this series.
Oh, that's right. There is a triple kiss.
There is. We'll get into that in season 2 on Patreon, but yeah. Yeah, I do recommend Scream the TV series, season 1 at least.
Right. I'm happily surprised to say so.
I'm surprised. So the overarching story, and you talked about the mask.
Mm-hmm.
The mask is they got rid of Ghostface.
Yeah.
At no point is the killer referred to as Ghostface, which from the movies, the killers wear literally a Halloween costume.
Right.
It's implied like they basically got it from Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
I think Dewey says they sell it at every 5 and dime in the state.
Yeah, right.
Does that imply that it would be at what's a 5 and dime?
Like the Piggly Wiggly?
Like a grocery store?
Like Wawa?
Really? Like you go to Quick Check and you pick up a Ghostface costume?
I think that's kind of what a 5 and dime is.
It's really weird.
Yes.
But,
it's a convenience store.
Yeah, but the fun of that from the movies was like there's an anonymity to Ghostface. Anybody could have picked up this costume.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, Scream the TV series says, no. If you squint, our killer kind of looks like Ghostface. Yeah. He's wearing all black and it's kind of cloak-ish.
Right.
And the mask is white and the mouth is hanging open.
Yeah.
But if you do anything, if you open your eyes any more than squinting,
then it's something entirely different.
Starkly different.
And also we know who wore this mask and for a purpose. And that's like off the bat.
Off the bat. They say that this was the mask worn by Brandon James.
Right.
Who is Brandon James?
I also found that very silly.
It's all very silly.
Yeah.
Turns out that in 1994, this kid named Brandon James, who was born with some form of facial disfigurement, had a series of surgeries to correct his appearance.
Right.
And every time one of these surgeries would be completed, they would give him a mask to wear in the shape of his own face.
Yeah.
So it's the Ghostface mask.
Right.
Right? Like you think of the Ghostface mask and it's got like the cartoonishly drooping eyes and the very long open mouth. It's like the Edvard Munch, the Scream. Well, the Brandon James mask is as if you, listener or viewer, just went, with your own face. It's human proportions.
Yeah, it's not perfectly round, as I said, but it is an open mouth.
It's really weird. It's like he's just going, whoa. But it's puzzling because they say this was like a surgical mask that he had to wear.
Yeah, like for the healing process or something.
Which it made me think of, maybe this is a thing, by the way, I do not know. Do they give people like facial surgery and then you wear a mask of your own face to lock it in?
I don't know.
It made me think of those braces you wear, Invisalign,
Right.
Where like they every 2 weeks or something they send you a new little plastic see-through retainer.
Yeah.
And over time it corrects the spacing of your teeth.
I mean, I think it's possible that that is somewhat of the intent, that they're hoping that somehow his face sort of molds to this shape in some way.
Right.
Or is it protective and it's shaped like his face to just protect the best it possibly can? I'm not sure. They don't really dwell on that.
They don't really want to get into it.
Yeah, because there's no need to get in the weeds on it, honestly. But
except I would love to know because it's so strange.
I know. It even has the little like line that's between your nose and mouth.
Isn't that like the frenum?
I think it is frenum. Frenulum?
Frenulum?
I think it is frenulum. Yeah.
But it's like when sometimes babies wear like helmets for a while.
Yep.
It's like for forming and protecting the skull as it develops. And it's like they did this to a young man.
Yeah.
They like placed his face into a mold.
He's supposed to be a teen, basically, when he was wearing this thing. And there is this whole lore around Brandon James and how he was responsible for a killing spree one night before he himself was apprehended and killed. But
on the pier at Wren Lake.
That's right. But they didn't recover his body or something? Is that right? Yeah, because he was shot into the water.
He landed in the water. When they went to go recover his body, he was gone. Almost like a Jason Voorhees.
Yes.
So is he still out there?
Exactly. And so when killings start to happen in this town again, they're like, is it happening again? Is it Brandon James? And that is the basic premise for the show without spoilers.
100%.
And we are following a group of friends. We have our main kind of like final girl. She has sort of like a geeky friend who's like something of a Randy type. And from there, I don't think that it really... I guess there's kind of like a Tatum-ish.
Sort of. I wrote down sort of just like
but it doesn't really adhere to like one-to-one roles necessarily,
No,
which is not a problem.
No, I don't think it's a problem at all. If you're going to distance yourself from Scream, I do think that it's worth going like as far away from the basic archetypes as you can. But to some extent, they still fit, like you said.
Yep.
So I wrote down here, The small town of Lakewood, no more Woodsboro, Lakewood has a dark past, and now the new generation of teens are being killed. In order to survive, Emma Duval must learn about her connection to an old murder case. Why is she seemingly being targeted now? Is it Brandon James? Is he back?
Right.
With the help of her friends, can she not only survive, but unmask the killer? She's got her friend Noah, who is very much like the geeky good friend who knows a lot about horror movies and will occasionally refer to the rules of horror, but it's not like established that he
he's not like a
heard
super
them somewhere.
Horror freak right from the jump, really. There's an... Oh, no, is he? Who is? I'm trying to think. Does his room have a lot of posters of horror stuff?
I think so.
Yeah, so never mind, he is.
But, like, it's just weird because, like, Randy acts like he studied the movies or something.
Right.
Like, if you watch Prom Night, you'd save time. You guys don't know the rules? And he'll just be like, well, we all know the rules. Like, it's sort of like more implied that everybody already knows this stuff.
Yes.
It's as if they're saying, well, everybody already saw Scream.
Right.
Which maybe
So
they
we
should
all
have said
know.
that. We've all seen
Maybe.
Scream. Maybe they could have seen Stab.
Yeah.
Would that have bothered you if the kids in Scream, the TV series, were like, they'd seen the movies?
I don't think so. I think it was weird if they saw Scream.
Yeah.
But if they said that they saw Stab, then it's just kind of establishing that they live in the same universe as Scream.
Yeah,
which
technically
kind of makes sense for having it be a TV show branded Scream.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
what do you think?
I hadn't really thought of it until now, to be honest. But if Noah, this Randy-esque character, had been like, even just saying it in passing in episode 1 and it never comes up again.
Yeah.
Is like, I mean, anybody who's even seen the first Stab knows the rules.
Yeah.
Like, just...
I feel like that's fine.
I feel like that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Brooke, Emma's snooty, newer best friend, like sort of like popular girl, a little bit of a mean girl kind of vibe. We've got Audrey, Emma's old best friend from her childhood. Something grew between them since they were kids.
That's right.
Audrey's got sort of like a dark kid vibe to her these days. Will, Emma's boyfriend, who appears to have some bizarre secrets of his own.
He's a dud.
Popular. He's a bit of a dud.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's doofus Jake, Brooke's boyfriend.
Yeah, I also find Jake to be a dud.
He calls himself the Jake.
Right.
I'm the Jake. The Jake is here.
Yeah.
And Piper Shaw, newly arrived in Lakewood, a podcaster, a true crime podcaster. She is ostensibly here to do a story on Brandon James?
I
or on like the history of the town?
The town and the massacre.
So
and
sort of
all
a Gale Weathers-esque type character, though I never really got
She's
like
much more peripheral than Gale Weathers, and she doesn't have any of Gale Weathers' like bite and kind of attitude. She's just sort of like very vanilla, middle of the road, but like they bump into her here and there.
She's
not even like integrated.
No, she's like very poorly integrated, I feel. Like only Emma ever speaks to her, really.
Yeah.
It's very kind of odd. And then we've got a million different side plots. So like that's what's Emma's all about, like what's happening to me. She does get like a menacing phone call.
Yep.
But even the Ghostface voice, the other sort of like icon of the series, Roger L. Jackson, is not in this version of the show in the first 2 seasons. It is like the assistant director, I read.
Okay.
He'll just go like, "Hello, Emma. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you surprised to hear from me?"
So it's like that guy being Bob in Twin Peaks. Like, did they just notice that the assistant director had a freaky voice? And
Maybe.
They were like, come on, Sam.
You know what? I think you're going to be our Brandon James.
Yeah, right.
David Lynch's Scream the TV series.
Because the person who played this character, Bob, in Twin Peaks was a member of the crew who David Lynch just kind of like fixated on and was like, I like your look.
Yeah.
You want to act?
That is a wild thing that happened.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
like it does sort of feel, you're right, because it doesn't feel like he's like the voice on the phone doesn't feel like a performer.
Yeah.
I will say.
It's kind of a non-thing. Like the phone just doesn't feel like as big a deal. It's not as big a deal in this as it is in Scream. So I didn't even really think that much about it.
Another reason why like the phone just feels like it's part of everyone's life rather than like a way the killer's not weaponizing it to get to you anymore. It's just like sort of a thing that he uses the way we all use.
Through text, the killer uses it.
A lot of texting. And a lot of like activating somebody's webcam remotely to spy.
Yes, but talking on the phone is not a thing. It happens.
True.
You know, definitely that one time, maybe another time or something.
Yeah.
But it's mostly text related, and a lot of times like pretending to be someone else, like cloning somebody's phone to be like, oh, meet me in the study hall for brunch is what I was about to say.
I mean, we're gonna have brunch in study hall.
And then they get there and it's the killer. Yeah.
Killer Quiche.
Yes.
I guess if you're trying to make a new Scream and you're trying to update it with modern kids, right, like the cell phone itself is already such a natural part of their life, like especially now. Like I look at my daughter who's 18 months old, almost 19 months old, and she already will like look at my phone and like look for the YouTube app and stuff. Like it's just baked in knowledge.
Yeah.
And 7 years ago, having 17-year-olds, they would have conceivably had smartphones since they were 8,
right,
or something like that.
Right.
So like the phone was not a cell phone in 1996 for Sidney Prescott was a disruption.
Yes.
This
novel
was new.
And shocking.
For kids in 2015, it's run of the mill.
Right.
So the way they up the game here is by saying, you've all got phones, I can tap into them whenever I want, which is a decent idea.
Yeah, I think it is too, except that Ghostface texts tend to be quite lengthy and to my 38 eyes quite small.
I think all these kids, it looks like they may be all on like smartphones, but the text size, it's like they need jitterbugs.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The jitterbug phone?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting a jitterbug. There's a phone made for the elderly. It's like advertised in AARP magazine.
It's like only available on QVC or something at 2 a.m. You know?
And it has like giant buttons and giant text on screen and everything.
Yeah.
I wish they had jitterbugs because sometimes I could not read what the hell these texts were. Did you have that problem at all?
No, I kept staring at how like they would show the kids typing and then the text would just fly onto the screen. It's like they do hit a bunch of buttons. They're typing pretty quickly, but the text that appears on the screen is appearing way faster than they're typing. I was like, whatever.
I sometimes just had to figure it out through context clues what just happened.
There's a little bit of creative, like, technological magic that happens from time to time.
Of course.
And, like,
just fine.
Weird stuff. At some point, 2 characters are basically video chatting. They're FaceTiming with each other. And one of them gets attacked. And the other one, we see, like, the TV show is showing him holding his phone, screaming into the screen. And then they cut to the person on the other end of the line who's dropped the phone now, and we see the phone on the ground, and the image on her screen is the TV show's camera angle of the guy. It's not like he's not like looking at his phone.
Yeah,
it's
he's like looking directly.
It's like a 3/4
with them.
It's like a 3/4 angle of the performer, and I'm just like, you should have gotten another shot of him looking straight into a camera, basically, because that's what video chatting is.
Yeah.
You're looking straight into the thing.
Right.
And, like, sometimes people's, like, contact images for each other are clearly headshots.
Oh, I know. That was very funny.
There's a cheapness.
Yes.
I'm dancing around it because I'm praising the series.
No,
let it be
but
known.
that is true. There is a low budge quality
It's
going
a cheapness.
on, which I don't necessarily think is a bad like aspect of it. I think that there are ways that they could have worked around it.
Yeah,
I believe. But everything about this, even though we both recommend it, is like good but.
Yes.
Like it's fun, it's good. It's a fun thing to watch. It is a good watching experience, but like it's not like an amazing show.
No.
And
that's why I said comfort.
Okay.
This is why I said it's junk food. Yeah. Now, to mix metaphors, I went from carrot cake, there are vegetables in your cake, to it's junk food. Maybe it's more of like a Hostess cake.
Yeah, maybe.
Or those little bites, you know those like little bites muffins?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And they come in that package and it's like a little greasy.
Muttons? Yes.
What did I say?
I said muttons. Yes, I do know those muttons.
Yeah, those little muffin pouches, and you open them, and
they're Entenmann's little bites.
They're tasty, but they're a little bad for you, and they're a little yucky. But you'll eat them.
They're gone so fast, though.
They're gone so fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. It burns fast.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Scream the TV series is an Entenmann.
They should put that on the Entenmann's Little Bites box.
Scream the TV series is an Entenmann's muffin.
Yeah.
And Scream is a cake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Although, I mean, Scream TV series is pretty long. So
It's
it's
really
not
long.
fleeting.
No,
I'll say that.
That
but
is true.
Whatever. It's
whatever.
not great for you, but it's delish.
Yes.
So.
But so like you'll watch this series and be like, yeah, I'm into it, but I probably shouldn't watch too much, all in one sitting, or I might get diarrhea.
Ryan, my husband, kept like, so I was watching this, over the course of how long?
Yeah.
And he sees me watch all kinds of stuff that's just not his thing. 'Cause he's like, he likes horror fine, but he's like not really into it.
Constantly exposed to your interests.
Honestly, yes. And he usually says nothing about it, or he just sits and watches it with me, but he's not like really attached to it. He'd be like, this show sucks. And he was like, this is terrible. Why are you watching this? This gives me a headache. Like, this makes me feel sick. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm enjoying it. And he was just like, ugh.
You know what?
He really did not like it.
Very appropriately,
Yeah.
Kristen's husband Ryan is a chef.
Yes.
He cannot tolerate.
He can't take a. Well, that's not true, because he absolutely will tolerate all
Entenmann's
that.
muffin.
He loves an Entenmann's muffin.
He loves a literal Entenmann's
Yes,
muffin.
yes, but I guess he doesn't love a film Entenmann's muffin,
Yes,
the entertainment
exactly.
version.
Right.
So
It's rough.
Yeah.
So it's the story is rough around the edges. The production value itself is rough around the edges.
Yeah, like it's just like lit. I know
The
nothing about
acting.
this stuff. Sometimes
The acting is very rough around the edges.
it definitely is, and it's especially really rough at like a particular. I mean, I guess I should say multiple particular moments that I think otherwise are supposed to have a big impact.
Yes.
If they were done with somebody different, and they just totally, for me, flop hard.
We're going to get into that. I know exactly what you're talking about. We're going to talk about it in spoilers, which I think we should get to pretty quickly.
I think we can, and actually we can. This is a pretty good break point for us to talk about patreon.com/GTTUpod before we get into spoilers.
That sounds good. I just want to shout out, I'm sorry, very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. I want to shout out the MVPs. Because I think that there are distinct MVPs.
Definitely.
Our star, Emma Duvall, played
she's
by
very good.
Willa Fitzgerald. I think she's great.
Yep.
I think she does a very good
She's
job.
on Reacher on
okay.
Amazon Plus now, which
cool.
I think that a lot of people really like. Ryan liked that one.
Really?
Yeah.
We should do some Ryan picks. Bex Taylor Klaus, who plays Audrey, I think is like one of the backbones of the entire series. I think the Audrey character is very good. You don't like her?
I don't.
Oh.
I do think that she's one of the backbones of the series.
The Audrey character.
The
I believe Bex,
character?
the performer, I think goes by they, them.
They do, yes, they do. She's in the show.
In the show, yeah.
Female. But yeah, I agree. She's definitely very centered in the show, but I am not a big fan.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
surprised by that. We'll have to talk. John Carna as Noah Foster.
Killing
I
it.
think is the other backbone.
He's killing it more than Brandon James is in this show.
That's true. He is the Randy, so to speak. I think that he is terrific on the show. I think that he's
great.
He's funny. He's relatable entirely.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best parts of the show. So they're sort of our main trio anyway.
Yep.
But I think that they are also truly the ones that perform the material the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so yeah, let's do it. Let's get into our stuff, and then we'll dive into spoilers, everybody. So if you have not seen Scream Season 1, this might be the end of the road for you. That's okay. Maybe go check it out on Netflix if you don't want to be spoiled. If you've seen it or you're fine being spoiled, stick around.
Totally, and you can always watch it and come back. So we are going to move into spoilers after we talk about ourselves a little bit. So au revoir, or hang around to hear us talk about ourselves and then au revoir.
Sure.
Anyway, if you would like to support the show, please go to patreon.com/GTTUpod, where we have dozens and dozens, like in the 70s of just regular bonus episodes. And then there are also extra things, tons of material over there. We also have a number of different tiers that you can check out and sign up for the one that just fits your life and needs the best. But it's the best way to support the show. There are multiple ways to do it, but really this directly helps us so much. And to thank you, we really have a ton of stuff out there that you get access to as soon as you sign up, including a Discord channel for Guides to the Unknown that's only for patrons, that has people every single day chatting in it, giving recommendations for books and movies and TV, just talking about their lives. It's such a nice community. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. So if you're interested in that and you just want to check it out and, you know, have your curiosity satisfied.
Whoa, okay.
Go to patreon.com/gttupod.
And that Discord, by the way, it's got like a million different things. They're not all... Here's one of the things that I like about the modern internet. Is it's like you can enjoy Guide to the Unknown, which is about enjoying spooky stuff, and then join the Discord for Guide to the Unknown and be talking about these different categories. The Fluffy Zone is all about pets, right? Pictures, memes, music, art, cooking and food, gardening, Wordle, books. Like it's almost like you take the first filter of society.
Right.
You go, show me people who also like Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about books with those people.
Right.
That's what's going on in Discord, which I think is kind of fun. You're already in there with like-minded people, essentially.
Absolutely. And big shout out to our listener Alex for being an amazing mod in the Discord and really setting up all those channels. There's a new one for sharing spooky encounters that you yourself have had, so personal ghost stories. It's just totally awesome.
I love that. Yeah.
So we already said it, but the second part of our Scream the TV series discussion is going to be on our Patreon this coming Monday. So we're talking about season 1 here, and season 2 will be over there. And so it's a great time to go check out patreon.com/gttupod.
Back to back. Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into some spoilers.
So spoilers. Goodbye, everybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, because it's happening.
It's happening.
3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.
Hit me with a subplot. I want to talk about one of the subplots. What comes to mind right now? I have a list of them, but you don't have anything in front of you.
Kevin Bacon's daughter.
What? What? Who's that?
Kevin Bacon's daughter is the girl who was caught making out with Audrey in a car.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Sosie
interesting.
Bacon.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, lots of food stuff.
I know, that almost feels like it would be stunt casting, but she's very briefly in it.
Right. No, and she's like a working actress. So
okay.
I think, you know what she's in coming up? She's in that weird movie that we've seen the trailer for a couple of times that's like about smiling. That horror movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's called Smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about smiling.
Interesting.
She's the lead of that.
Okay.
And she's been in some other stuff too.
Ah, very interesting.
Right.
Yeah, the entire series kicks off with a video going viral.
Right.
Of that character that I like that you don't. Audrey.
I just find her annoying.
I'm
just not into her.
It might be just sort of like a vibe thing.
It's just preference.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that take.
Yeah.
I think that she's a very kind of strong, interesting character.
Yeah, I get that too.
Maybe always sort of like the same note. You know, but I don't know that I expect a lot of variance on this show.
Right, but I mean,
I'm grading the show on a curve already.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's what we've been setting up. It's totally graded on a curve.
Exactly. And so I think for that curve, I think she would be a more interesting primary character than Emma.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
It would make me enjoy the show less, but that is an interesting thought.
Yeah.
If you had it, if there was some sort of weird cut where Audrey is the main character.
Yeah.
That is cool theoretically. It is just a vibe thing. I just don't really like her.
She's set up immediately as having been bullied. So there's somebody shot a video or found a video or took a video of Audrey.
I think they took because Emma was there. It's revealed, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. So Audrey is in a car making out with another girl.
Right.
Whoa! So somebody shoots the video and they upload it to social media. Nina and other guy.
Will? Isn't it?
No, that's the boyfriend.
Oh, that guy. I don't know what his name is.
The show
dispatched very quickly.
He's dispatched very appropriately.
Yeah. Yes.
It should be. He's got about 5 lines, and you don't want to see him anymore.
I can't believe we didn't talk about.
We didn't even talk about this.
Spoiler free.
It's true.
I would say this belongs in our history as far as our history with Scream the TV series. So Will did watch it, like we said, and talk about stunt casting. Bella Thorne is kind of in the spot of the Drew Barrymore.
In my notes, I wrote Blythe Danner.
I would say Blythe Danner is the literal opposite of Bella Thorne. I think they are Totally.
I wrote it down and I was like, I know that's not right.
I know.
I'm leaving it.
That's really funny. Blythe Danner is Gwyneth Paltrow's mother, who is also an actress. Maybe give her a Goog, and I bet you'll be like, oh, I've seen that lady before.
Let me put it this way. I'm more familiar with Blythe Danner than I am with Bella Thorne, who I do not know.
I am too. I mean, I kind of know Bella Thorne because of this podcast called Who Weekly that talks about kind of lower level celebs. So Bella Thorne is stunt casting because she was on a Disney show. I don't even know what the Disney show is called or anything, but she at one point maybe still was very popular with teens and stuff. She was
she was after our teen show generation.
Yes. Yeah. I think she has millions and millions of followers on Instagram, that kind of thing. And she's kind of a wild child in life.
So am I get it.
Yeah, you can relate.
Yeah.
So the show if not actually opens, very close to opens with Bella Thorne and this dude in a car, coming back from a date or something. And
it cuts in.
Yeah.
The show, it couldn't have been. There's not a worse. It's so funny. I think we should just fully do. I think we should fully do a react to the opening scene of the show and just put it up, because it opens with a song going, "You bad boy, you bad boy, you bad," and then a car turns off, and it's Blythe Danner and some guy, Blondie, sitting beside each other, and she goes, "It is a time-honored tradition of the food chain. The weak are outed and eventually eaten." And then they cut to the guy who goes, "Officer, she made me do it. She makes me do a lot of things." It's a little cookie-eating grin.
It's got a major cookie-eating
It
grin.
is sickening. It is such an irritating, the rhythm of it annoys the shit out of me.
So funny.
You bad boy. It's a time-honored tradition. Officer, she made me do it. She makes me do a lot of things.
It's really the smile after the she makes me.
Annoying.
It's unbelievably annoying. So years ago, Will brought this to my attention, and we say that all the time. Officer, she made me do it. She makes me do a lot of things.
So it was literally talk about it all the time. I think right after it aired, I was like, "Did you see this? You have to watch this. It's so annoying."
It's unreal.
And it's the show from there is fine. Again, it's like eating those little muffins. But the way it starts, it's such
It's an outlier. Crap. The rest of the show is not like this cold open intro thing. Actually,
sucks.
It's from a different show.
And then Blythe Danner leaves him and goes into the house and goes "Phone, play music," and then the music that she's listening to comes on. It's "Want a freak show? Gonna have a freak show." And this also sucks. This is not my movie. I hate it.
I don't know if they still do this, but do you remember on MTV? I think they used to even do it on Jackass and stuff. There'd be a small chyron in the lower third that said the band and the song, so you could go look it up. So I think that they were probably doing that all over the place during this scene.
I remember that annoyed me too, because I was like, "What is this show? Just a way to advertise songs?"
Kind of.
Because the way MTV used to play music, I'm not one of the people that's where's the music?
Yeah.
There hasn't been music on MTV in 20 years. The joke has to stop.
Yeah.
But when they played music videos, they would have that little text blurb in the corner to say what it was.
Of course.
I just never seen it in a TV show.
I know.
That doesn't happen in, Better Call Saul.
No.
It just screams, this is not a show. This is a trick.
They did
We're
that
tricking you so that you will watch our ads.
Right. They did that for a million other shows too, and it kind of, as annoying as it is, it makes sense because even I read this book about MTV that was super interesting, and this is the case for most TV, but really music videos were just there so that they could have commercials.
Sure.
They need an excuse to have a network that has commercials, and so what can we air? We can make these music videos. And so when it stopped being music videos, they still wanted some way to cling to that past in some way.
It's an excuse to still be called
MTV.
music television.
Yeah.
We're going to highlight the music's existence.
Right, and it is all in service of having ads. That's the whole reason shows exist.
Of course.
Yeah.
But in a show.
It is weird.
Like in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
When they sit on the couch and Egon is eating Cheez-Its,
Yeah.
a little pop-up doesn't go like, Cheez-Its cost $5.99. They're available now.
It's weird.
I know. Weird. It's weird to call it out. I hear the song. If I like it, I'll look it up.
Right. Or I'll Shazam it.
Yeah. Anyway, the opening is crap.
It's crazy. So she gets killed. It's technology based. She's getting texts that she thinks are from the guy. And she's like, Blondie, you better get out of here. I told you to go home with your tail between your legs. Or like, she's like sexy girl or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she can hear that like things are going on in her house, and she thinks it's the guy coming in. But really, it is Brendan James' face who comes and beheads her, and her head floats in the pool. And that's our like slash scream TV show.
The ingredients are right. Your cold open is a kill, just like Drew Barrymore's cold open was a kill. It gets you right to the murder before you slow down and meet everybody.
Yep.
You know, I'm actually a big fan of like having something that launches right into the fun and games of the story.
Totally.
Before you slow down and get into the dirty business of being like, here's the person and here's what their life is like. Get right to the wackiness. Start strong.
Yeah.
But confusingly behind the scenes, Bella Thorne, Blythe Danner, said, I'm doing a recreation of Drew Barrymore's scene.
Oh.
That's what she said to people.
Yeah.
Which is not
how you set that up.
It's like a misunderstanding. Like maybe she didn't see Scream or didn't know what she was talking about.
Who knows?
Blythe Danner, I'm sure you're nice.
Yeah.
My point is just like, it was puzzling messaging. Because I was like, what do you mean? Like, this isn't going to be a reboot of... Are they telling the movie Scream, but on television? You're going to be Drew Barrymore's character?
Right.
She means...
I'm killed immediately.
I'm the kill at the beginning.
Right.
That's all she ever meant. But it's just... The whole show is like... People sort of... You know how there's that like thing of like... I understood the assignment. Mm-hmm. It's like they kind of understood the assignment.
Yeah, it is absolutely kind of like that. So, yeah, from there, it kind of launches into us meeting our main characters and getting to know them. And we find out that there is this mystery in town that's been brewing all this time.
Yeah.
About the mythology of Brandon James, which we mentioned before, and him going on a killing spree, and a mysterious girl named Daisy, who has seemed to disappear as well.
He sings the song, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due.
Yeah.
I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
Yeah.
So it starts with this like music box-esque like poem, and I'm like, that's also not Scream.
No.
But whatever. Who's Daisy?
Right. Who is Daisy?
Who is Daisy? What does it mean?
And one of the first things, so, you know, Bella Thorne is discovered to be killed. The town is like, oh God, what's happening? And what happens pretty soon after that, we as the audience get kind of a little angle into who Daisy is, because Emma, who is our main character, the kind of Sydney proxy's mom, is the town coroner, and she gets a heart sent to her. Right. And so you're like, how is she involved in this? Maybe, does the heart say something about Daisy on it? Like, is there like a letter? I don't remember.
I think there is a letter. I don't remember what the letter says. But the point is that, like, it does seem like even though Emma's being targeted, it is about the mom. Or it's sort of like the sins of the mom are being visited on the kids. Right. Which might sound familiar to you.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. Actually, Scream the TV series has been in the news. Not the news, but like has been talked about a little bit recently, because people have been like, oh, Pretty Little Liars Original Sin made a better Scream the TV series than Scream the TV series did. And
do you find that to be true?
I don't.
Justice for Scream the TV series. I walked in expecting to hate it, which might help.
Me too.
With my expectations.
Totally.
But it's better than you think.
I think so.
It's cursed with its opening. You know, like Drew Barrymore's opening of the movie is like the thing people knew, and it was like the thing that made everybody want to see it, and they would talk about it and be like, it's the opening. We talk about the opening. The opening is amazing. The opening is perfect.
Yeah.
The opening of this show is like an albatross around this show's neck because it's crap. I've never heard anybody put down the opening, but if your first impression of the show is this opening scene, and why wouldn't it be?
Right.
It's going to color the whole experience.
I don't know. I feel like I abandoned it quite quickly.
But you knew going in this time.
Yes.
Like I'm saying, if you're somebody who doesn't know anything about any of this show,
yeah,
and you start it and it's you bad, but it's a time. I mean, I knew about it,
but I didn't realize that the whole show doesn't have that vibe. So I feel like I still went into it with fresh enough eyes.
I think it
that I was like, okay, well that was super weird, and I kind of forgot about it honestly until we started talking about it tonight.
Ooh,
I haven't thought about it.
I think it's.
I watched this a couple weeks ago. I
think it's kind of poisonous to the rest of the show, but
I don't know. I was able to just put it aside.
Yeah.
So more killings are happening in town. We've gotten to know people, and through, different kinds of means, I believe Emma's mom sort of explains it to her. We find out what the real Brandon James story is, and Emma finds out that her mom, yes, was in fact Daisy.
She was Daisy.
So the town villainized him. For stupid town reasons, like
he was homeschooled. He didn't look like everyone
freak.
else. Yeah, exactly.
And so he was like bullied terribly, and there were all these killings in one night.
Halloween
night,
night,
or whatever.
1994. They say Brandon James got his revenge on everybody. He killed something like 5 or 6 people.
Right, but the mom is like, that wasn't Brandon. He was a super nice guy. Like we were super close friends. The narrative, when it comes to her mom, is that he was obsessed with Daisy and crazed, and this was totally unrequited. Like it was just somebody who was obsessed with her and she had nothing to do with it. And she's like, no, we were friends. We were like best friends. And when I met him at the pier, which is where that kind of like gang up on him happened, where he was shot into the lake, she was trying to like warn him that the town was coming after him so that he could, get away from it. But unbeknownst to her, like all the cops were there and everything, and they shot him. So what looked to other people like a setup with Daisy asking the cops for help and then being brave and like luring her adversary there was really her just trying to give him a head start to like get out of town.
She was genuinely trying to help him.
Right. And so now the question was, is he now taking revenge for that act?
Right. Did he misunderstand, and so now he's come back to even punish Daisy?
Yes.
And
Did
her
he
daughter.
Also think that she was in on it with the cops? But we now know that's not the case.
In true teen show fashion, something happened, and there have been a series of very complicated misunderstandings.
Yeah.
But the show is loaded with so many goddamn subplots. Like, Brooke's dad is being blackmailed by her boyfriend Jake. Jake is in cahoots with Emma's boyfriend Will. Yeah. They've been trying to extort like $100,000 and stuff.
Yeah, because her dad is the mayor.
Yes.
And also Brooke is having an affair with like the English teacher,
Mr. Branson.
Who
becomes a major suspect.
Yes, and like Will had told me, because I wasn't really ever planning on watching this show, years ago. I was like, just tell me what happens. And Will had told me who the killer was, and I forgot. I didn't really remember until like the last episode. I thought it was Mr. Branson.
Oh.
And so I was surprised when it wasn't. And
really?
So you had told me, and I just perverted it in my mind, that there was a moment where they're like, so this guy's name is Brandon James. They're like, Mr. Branson, Brand's son. Because also you find out that Daisy called him Brand as his nickname.
And there was also there's an implication at some point that maybe Brandon James had a kid, and that kid, if it's not Brandon James, maybe it's Brandon James's child all grown up who's getting the revenge.
Maybe this guy is hiding in plain sight.
Mr. Branson is
Brand's son. So that's a theory that the kids have in it, which ends up not being true. I forgot that was just a theory that ends up not being true, and I thought it was the thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember.
I was caught off guard.
I very distinctly recall seeing this in real time and being familiar with horror movies, obviously. Like the movie I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, that is the key to a twist, is being like, I'm Benson, Ben's son. Yep. And it's like, it makes your teeth hurt. It's so... It's the corniest thing in the world.
Yeah, totally.
And so I was like, oh my God, if they say Mr. Branson is Brand's son, I'm going to throw up my mouth.
Right.
And then Noah goes, Branson, could he be like Brand's son? And then I think he sort of goes like, nah. And they just sort of like move on. I'm like, okay, they brought it up and say, no, that's stupid. All right, I'm happy. I'm still on their side.
Right.
But so, yeah, but Mr. Branson's a major suspect to the end, really.
Really to the end. I still was just like, oh, I guess they're throwing us off by them discarding this theory, and it's going to be him, because I thought it factually was him, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
My other theory, or I guess I should say it's like part of it. So because he's like a scumbag who's sleeping with his student, they're looking into him as a suspect, and they find out that he is a very unsavory character even besides that. He came from somewhere else and changed his name, and where he came from, he did he have an affair with a college student, I think it was?
I think so.
And there was something with that.
She was murdered.
Yeah, okay.
And then he moved and changed his name.
Okay, well.
There was something, methinks something may have gone afoul with him and that former student.
Well, okay. I didn't
murdered.
I didn't realize that she was murdered.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay. I think as it started to become clear to me that he maybe was not just the only big bad, I was like, so maybe this podcaster Piper is up to something. I think now that's ringing a bell. Maybe she's up to something. So maybe she is the student that Branson was having an affair with, and they have a screwed up folie à deux thing going on, and they're going to be both the killers. And that was not quite true.
No,
and I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was incredibly wrong.
You're incredibly wrong. No,
I thought it was going to be a fun killer reveal with him, and then I was like, oh. And
well, that's what you want.
Reveal's a clunker.
Right, like in a whodunit, you want to eventually have the who revealed and then get into the why.
Right.
And that it's going to be fun. You're going to get the villain monologue. It should be fun, but it's a big trap.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. A lot of the time, the killer is unmasked in something, and you find out that the actor doesn't have the chops for the job. This happens a lot in the Scream series.
Yes.
Because the way that the Scream series has been produced, as the series went on, they would hide pages.
Right.
And then suddenly hit someone with, by the way, you're the killer.
You're the killer.
Hope you have what it takes.
Yeah.
To carry this material and go to a really dark place with it and have it not be embarrassing.
Right.
And sometimes it is.
Yeah, I would say that the first instance of that is the killer in Scream 3, who's an actor who I actually enjoy. I have seen them in other things, but they just don't have that, or at least they didn't bring that sort of sinister, kind of fun, arch villain sort of vibe to it. So it sort of fell flat, even besides the story of it, which is also a lot to digest.
A lot.
It also happens, I think, in Scream 4 to a degree. And then I felt like it really happened here. So I was half right with my theory.
And it happens in Scream 5.
In Scream 5. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Big time happens in half of Scream 5.
Yes, yeah, half of the killers in Scream 5, yes. One of the killers, I think, is good, actually.
Does a great job.
Yes.
Even though it's...
Yes, even though the premise is what? But I think that the killer themselves does a really good job.
Yes.
But so in this, I was half right.
We gotta be careful. We got hate mail for our opinions on Scream 5.
I said what I said.
I said what I said, okay?
Right, I don't know what to tell you. So in this, the killer ends up being Piper, who is that podcaster.
The
Solo
podcaster,
Piper.
the true crime podcaster.
Yeah.
Who only exists in the margins. We barely interact with her at all.
Right.
She is kind. Here's the weird thing. You'd expect the true crime podcaster to evoke more of that Gale Weathers vibe. And in a lot of the conversation around the series, people would continually bring up Gale Weathers when they talk about this character. But what's weird is if you say that she's a journalist, throughout the show she keeps being like, Emma, I'm not worried about the story. I want to make sure you're okay.
Right.
They paint her as
she doesn't even know them.
Doesn't even know them. She's older. Why are you hanging out with these children?
I know.
And it's just, she's always just sort of tacked on.
Right. And by older, though, by the way, I mean, she's probably 22.
22.
But still.
The spread between 22 and 17.
It absolutely is. But just for people, if they're listening.
Should be a big solid line.
It 100% is. But just for people who are listening who haven't seen this, when we say she's older, it could paint a picture that's not what it is.
She's not 99.
Yeah, she's 22 or something.
22,
she just graduated college. But still, you shouldn't really be BFFs with 17-year-olds.
It's very, very weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she unmasks herself and basically immediately starts carrying that I'm crazy energy of being surprise, sis.
Yeah, because
keeps waggling.
Because as we said, there's speculation that Brandon James had a child, and that speculation bears out, and that child is Piper.
So Piper is Emma's half-sister.
Right.
Daisy, Emma's mom, and Brandon James did the do.
Right. They were very good friends one night in the bowling alley.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Steer, right?
Romantic.
And, 9 months later,
Right.
Piper.
Mm-hmm.
But Piper's put up for adoption.
Right.
And so she has, some revenge. She wants
Emma's got the life that Piper was supposed to have.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But her villain monologue might be almost as excruciating as the opening of the show with Blythe Danner.
It's bad. I mean, at least with
It's
Blythe
like,
Danner.
I feel bad for the performer.
I do too. Like, at least with the Blythe Danner thing, like, it's like a little fun, and it has a little bit of that like love to hate vibe because it's so over the top.
Just hate, but
This is just like, ew. It just everything about it falls flat.
Sis,
Yeah.
you know what? I think it's time we cut to the chase. Like, it's like very
And like she
tacky.
didn't talk about that or talk like that the whole time.
No.
And just all of a sudden now she's got these like villain puns and wordplay.
And like doing face down, eyes up.
Yep.
And like it's really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a really good
bad.
a really good killer reveal to me, and I'm making this up on the spot, so it's not a law, but there's something of the character that we have known the whole time in the killer reveal.
Right.
Like, Stu in Scream 1 is always wacky and over the top.
He's great.
And then he brings it even higher and to a more, like, kinetic, frantic level when you find out that he's the killer.
He's having a blast.
He's loving it. And so Piper was just very, like, not flat where you're like, what's wrong with this person, but just like a normal person, let's say. Just a flat, normal person. And then instead of maybe coming to, like, I don't know, a 4, but maybe your dialogue being scary or something during her killer reveal, instead she's supposed to be at a 10 of that sort of like scary, out of control wackiness. And it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like true. It feels super off, and because it's so off, what's supposed to be like a big bombastic reveal just feels cringy.
It feels incredibly cringy, is absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And because her character is so not essential
Yeah.
throughout the preceding 9 episodes,
Right.
at the reveal, you're at risk of being like, I'm sorry, who are you?
Who?
Also, throughout most of the show, this might just be a me thing. I didn't know this performer. She's wearing glasses the entire time. She's got that Sarah Koenig serial kind of vibe.
I think it is absolutely supposed to be that.
Correct. But when she has the Brandon James mask and she pulls it off, no glasses.
Yeah.
I knew her as Glasses Podcaster.
Yeah, you're Glasses Podcaster. Who are you now?
Who is this without the glasses? It's a Clark Kent thing, but
you
it fooled
do look
me.
really different without glasses.
You
like
do.
People, it's very jarring for a lot of people to see people who wear glasses without them.
It's true.
And so it's weird.
She took off the mask, and I was like, I don't know who you are. And it also doesn't matter that they say Piper, because I'm like, who the hell's Piper? Oh,
she doesn't come up
reporter.
a whole lot.
She has she only interacts with Emma. It's like she's an imaginary friend.
It honestly kind of is. So it's not that kind of thing where you're like, I mean, I guess it is to some degree, but it's not a fun thing where you're like, that's right, that's that reporter. You're just kind of like, oh, right. And I think that maybe if she had a little bit more of a personality in the rest of the series, that would make her stand out a little bit more, so that you could be like, Piper, oh my God.
Also, she should be talking to Noah like a lot.
Yeah. Because they're both, I mean, she's a journalist and podcaster. Noah becomes a podcaster, but he's also sort of like
baked into the lore of this stuff, like knows everything that's going on.
Right. And like documenting it to a degree. Like he's almost a little bit of like a town historian.
Yeah.
He explains a lot of this stuff. He in voiceover, that totally works and feels fine. It's usually like toward the ends of the episodes.
It's very teen showy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, so I guess what we learned this week is that
right.
You better be careful who your friends are, because they might just be your enemies.
Right.
And like a little musical sting, and then you're in the credits.
Yeah, he's kind of like our host or something.
Yeah,
So it would make sense for them to connect a little bit more. I don't know why they didn't do that.
It feels like she only exists in reshoots or something. It's very strange. She's like not really in the show.
She's mostly just at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really weird.
It's weird.
So, she's the killer, and you're like, what? And before she kind of goes all the way, so, obviously they're on the pier having this showdown, because that's what happened where Brandon James died.
So we have the big showdown in the same spot.
Of course. And Emma is able to fight her off, and she's in the water. Oh, because Audrey shoots her. I just remembered. Audrey comes through at the last minute and shoots her, so she flies in the water. And she comes back up. She kind of stabs her knife into the pier to pull herself back up. And she's like, I might be getting the order of this wrong, but she's like, I've got one last surprise for you. And then Emma, I think, is able to do the final thing. Yeah, and kill her.
So what is Piper's final surprise? We may never know. She's dead now. Well, there's a season 2, right?
That's right. And that final surprise is revealed.
It is. Last minute things that I just need to say.
Sure.
When Piper pops up out of the water again, after she was shot, falls in the water, and it seems like everything's okay. And then she pops up one last time and Emma shoots her. Emma goes, they always come back for one last scare.
I know.
Like, why do you know that?
I know, totally.
No one has ever talked about rules.
Your friend group hasn't been doing this.
Again, these characters have seen Stab or something. But they never baked in that sort of knowledge base.
Right.
And periodically, I'd say every other episode, they maybe use a line from Scream. Where somebody goes like, I'll be right back. And somebody will go, oh, don't say that.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you're counting on the audience to know that Scream already covered why.
Right. But why are you saying that?
Because your character's not saying why.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yes.
Emma also has a flame. This guy, Kieran. He's like a tough guy from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And he's
like a sensitive boy.
He's like a sensitive guy from the wrong side of the tracks, I think, a little bit. He's a little bit of a badass guy.
Yes, yeah.
Quiet badass.
Bad boy. A sensitive bad boy.
Sensitive bad boy.
Yeah.
And at one point, they find Brandon James's mother. She's an old lady. And she goes, why, yes, Brandon's son came to visit me just the other day.
Yeah.
And Piper will later say to Emma, I asked her, who was Piper's son? I brought a yearbook. Could she point out Piper's son? And she pointed out Kieran.
Right.
And so Kieran, the sensitive bad boy, feels like a big red herring.
Yes.
And so I think we didn't talk about him at all.
No, we didn't. So yeah, he definitely he's very
he's
present.
Significant.
Yes,
yeah.
But he's not. He doesn't have a ton of import in this. His dad is the sheriff who is dating Emma's mom. His dad is killed by Brandon James.
Everyone's love interests die.
Yes, totally. What do they call this? Do they just say the killer all the time? I guess
they say
do.
The killer.
Yeah.
Brandon James was the guy from 94.
Right.
Ghostface is in the movies. Right.
So it's the killer.
This is just the killer.
Which I don't mind.
Which is fine. I actually think in the
that's
movies.
What you'd probably say.
In the movies, they don't really say, oh no, Ghostface.
Yeah, you're right.
They do in the new movie.
Yeah, you're right.
But in the original 4 movies, the Wes Craven movies, they don't go, no, Ghostface, no.
They say they're like, the killer's outside.
The killer's outside.
Yeah.
But Emma's boyfriend, Will, this like preppy kind of bad guy.
He's the one I called a dud. I feel like he's just like, he does like nothing. He's supposed to
Kristen
like
just mimed like duh.
They'll cut to him and it's supposed to be like a sinister moment where they're like, I don't know, they'll show him like texting to be extorting the mayor, and they'll show his face and he should be like arching an eyebrow or something, but the guy's just like,
oh. It's like he's lost in thought.
He's never doing anything.
Thinking about those muffins again. The way he dies though is what I was referring to as being so gory and unexpected. The killer goes like, meet me at the barn. Like he's like using Will's phone. He's like, come to the barn, sweetie. We'll make out.
Yeah.
So Emma goes to the barn, and Will is there tied to a chair, and there's a giant piece of farm machinery, some sort of a gigantic, like room-sized chainsaw is behind his head, and Emma rushes to save him, tripping on a wire that activates the chainsaw to cut through Will's head.
Yeah, it's some Saw stuff.
And I thought they would cut away.
No.
The chainsaw cuts through this boy's head on television and splits his head in half, and the show ends with Emma getting like gallons of blood splashed all over her like it's Evil Dead or something.
Yes.
I was shocked.
I was pretty surprised by that too. It's pretty crazy.
And then the next episode, she keeps having visions of him. Like she's traumatized.
Yeah.
From this experience.
No, it gets gross.
And the vision she has of him is with his head split in half.
Yep.
So there are 2 halves of this guy's face and a jagged red gore line.
Yeah.
He looks like the T-1000 at the end of Terminator 2, where he's like broken apart and like wailing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And Emma's mom is dating the sheriff,
right,
who's Kieran, Sensitive Bad Boy's father.
Yep.
He gets roped to a tree, and they go to save him. And when she undoes the rope, we find out that his stomach had been cut apart, and the rope was holding him together.
Yeah.
So when she undoes the rope, his intestines spill out all over the ground.
Yep.
In Scream 1 in 1996, they got an NC-17.
Yeah.
Because intestines rolled in the frame.
Yeah.
They had to go back and edit it. There's a director's cut of Scream because of this.
Yep.
It's like 2 seconds of different footage.
Yes.
The Scream most people saw, Drew Barrymore's boyfriend dies, and then he's basically just a puppet sitting there.
Yeah,
Nothing moves at all.
Right.
Because intestines can't move. MTV, less than 20 years later, has this guy's guts spilling out all over our main character's mom.
20 years is a chunk of change.
It is, but whoa.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
No, it's gross.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
The show's gorier than you would expect.
Definitely.
And everyone's boyfriends and girlfriends die.
Yeah.
Noah has a girlfriend. She dies on the roof.
I know. I liked her.
I liked her too, Riley.
Yep.
She mentions a character named Zoe, who comes back in Scream Season 2.
Ah,
In
yeah.
episode 1,
yeah.
she
Yep.
mentions a Zoe.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna meet a Zoe
Yeah.
in the Patreon show.
That's right.
But yeah,
That's right.
I just wanted to say those like last minute things because they're big and crazy.
Yes.
The gore of it all and the fact that everybody seems to like lose somebody that they love.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
it's kind of no holds barred in a way.
Yeah.
But the last big twist, Noah realizes Piper was present at one moment when the killer showed up. So she couldn't have been in the killer suit.
Right.
So she definitely had an accomplice. Who could it be?
Who was phone?
And the camera does a push in on Audrey, burning a stack of letters that she had written and received
Yeah.
from Piper Shaw.
It's an excellent cliffhanger.
It's a great cliffhanger to season 2.
Yep.
Emma's best friend, Audrey,
Yep.
might be the other killer.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen? Who knows?
I don't know.
What a shockaroo.
It totally was. I know. Shock. I enjoyed it mightily.
I enjoyed it.
I know, and I wasn't expecting to. So maybe give it a watch. It's on Netflix right now, all of the seasons of it. So, if this sounded fun, maybe go check that out.
Go in with low expectations.
Yeah.
Go in knowing that you're eating those little oily muffins.
Totally. We're saying it's fun. We're not saying it's like incredible.
Have a couple at a time
But
and
I had
take
a great
break.
time. I had a great time, and that's usually what I'm looking for.
For the
So,
record, I watched both of these seasons back to back in a marathon
Yeah.
to make it to tonight.
No, I did too, but I did it a couple weeks ago.
And I think if you eat too many of those muffins, you get a tummy ache.
I
But
still
it's
was fine. I was looking forward to it every time I turned it on.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so was I.
enjoyed it.
Admittedly, the second that I finished it, I was like, kind of want to keep going.
Yeah. I
But,
really liked it.
That's
so,
the end of the road for right now, though, everybody.
That's right. But I mean, that road continues this coming Monday on patreon.com/GTTUpod. So maybe join us over there if you would like to hear about season 2 of Scream the TV series.
Yeah, we felt like it might be too much on the main feed to just load it up with all Scream the TV series.
Yeah.
But also...
For like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Like at least this will be a few days apart
Exactly.
for Patreon people.
But also I think it might be a good time to go check out our Patreon because there's a ton of material over there anyway.
Yeah.
So that's patreon.com/GTTUpod. Scream the TV series season 2 conversation coming on Monday.
Yep.
Shockingly, Kristen and I both recommend season 1.
Yes.
What will we say about season 2 and what is it all about?
It remains to be seen.
Spoiler alert, I think it gets better and crazier.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I do too.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us.
Yep.
Hit up gttupod.com for all things Guide to the Unknown, our entire catalog of episodes, links to our merchandise, contact, advertising. You can also get merch.
Yes.
Merch is available through there.
Yep.
Follow at gttupod on all social media. You'll see little short clips of us and stuff, which is really fun. And follow us online.
I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I'm at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We will be back next week for something that is not a teen drama.
It's not Scream.
But we'll see you on Monday if you do want more.
That's right.
So yeah, until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we. Spill our guts.
Ugh.
Ugh.
They did a web series.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Little like 1-minute clips.
Yep.
They call them the Lakewood Six, all the surviving characters, and it was them saying like, if I die, here's my like last will and testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like a little cute in character things.
Yeah.
So
I love
like
that.
Kieran looks in the camera and he's like, where am I supposed to look? No, look right here. Look right here. Yeah, this is Kieran. I'm gonna be serious. Like, I hope I don't die. Like, you know, like it's like little in character things. It was charming. I don't know. I guess do shows still do that sort of thing?
I think sometimes they do. What am I thinking of? Oh, I know that American Horror Story, like last season, it was set on an island and they had a YouTube channel that was the island's radio station.
Oh, that's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
That's fun.